Shalom from Israel to all of Daystar viewers around the world. I am Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 43:3, "O send out your light and your truth. Let them lead us. Let them bring us to your holy hill and to your tabernacle." And God says in Zechariah 8:31, "I will return to Zion and dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Jerusalem shall be called the city of truth, the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain." Always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has given Israel an ultimatum. Meet the PA's conditions for restarting peace negotiations, or the PA will make a bid for UN statehood. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with senior members of the Palestinian Authority to discuss restarting peace negotiations. This is the highest level meeting between the two sides in more than 20 months. The group delivered the ultimatum letter from Mahmoud Abbas, demanding that Israel stop all construction in Judea and Samaria, that it accept the pre-1967 borders, and that Israel release Palestinian terrorists held in Israeli jails. Israel sees a return to the 67 borders as indefensible and cannot agree to halt construction in the heartland of the Jewish state. Netanyahu has adamantly rejected these conditions in the past, and no one believes that this round of talks will result in progress. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to Israel has assured Jerusalem that the United States will block PA attempts to gain recognition in the UN. Erin Viner has more on that story.
Yes, Yochanan, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Daniel Shapiro, said that the United States will continue to work against the Palestinians in their attempts to gain recognition at the United Nations. He said that there are no shortcuts to peace in the Middle East, and that the Palestinians must return to direct negotiations with Israel without preconditions. Shapiro reminded his audience at the Netanya Academic College that the United States recently cut funding from UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, after the agency unilaterally recognized the Palestinian Authority as a member state.
Israel thwarted a mass infiltration of anti-Israel protesters last week as more than 2,000 activists were barred from entering the country. A group called the Flotilla Activists, who planned a mass protest in Israel to cause chaos and possibly encourage violence, was stopped at Ben Gurion Airport and denied entrance into the Jewish state. The activists were given a letter from the Israeli Prime Minister's office, which said that the activists could have chosen to protest the Syrian regime's daily savagery against its own people, or they could have protested the Iranian regime's support of terrorism throughout the world, or they could have chosen to protest Hamas rule in Gaza, where terror organizations commit a double war crime by firing rockets at Israeli civilians while hiding behind their own civilians. The letter said that instead, the activists chose to protest against Israel, the Middle East's sole democracy, where women are equal, human rights organizations can operate freely, religious freedom is protected for all, and minorities do not live in fear. The letter concluded by wishing the expelled activists a safe flight home.
A German ship was stopped in the Mediterranean Sea en route to deliver weapons to Syria. A spokesperson for the Ukrainian charter company in charge of the ship said that it ordered the vessel to halt after being informed of the cargo aboard by defectors from Syria. This is not the first time that a German ship has been used to transport arms illegally in the Middle East. This past March, Israel stopped the Victoria, which was also a German ship flying a Liberian flag, sailing off Israel's coast en route to Egypt, and found to be transporting 50 tons of illegal weapons intended for the Hamas terror organization.
Police in Azerbaijan have arrested 7 suspects in a weapons smuggling ring which originated in Iran. They are accused of smuggling sophisticated weapons and military supplies from the Islamic Republic into Azerbaijan. This same group is also suspected of smuggling large supplies of narcotics. Police in the capital, Baku, also arrested 22 people suspected of spying for Iran and plotting to attack Western embassies. Iran and Azerbaijan have traditionally held cordial relations, but recently Baku has become wary of Iran's nuclear program. There have been reports of a strengthening relationship between Israel and Azerbaijan, which shares a southern border with Iran. Germany's domestic intelligence agency has reported that an organized campaign to convert Germans to Islam has spread across the country. The Salafist Muslim group of Germany has begun distributing 25 million free Qurans. The Salafist Muslims are extremists who teach that the world is divided into those who believe and serve Allah and the infidels who do not. They believe in actively converting non-believers to radical Islam. This group also supports the decapitation of non-believers and the repression of women. German intelligence has released a statement saying they believe that the Quran Project is being funded by Saudi Arabia or Qatar. The increasing presence of Salafists in Germany has caused alarm among German security officials. They say that the activities of the group are being closely monitored.
The United Nations has sent an advanced monitoring team to Syria. Led by Moroccan Colonel Ahmed Himikhe, the 6-member mission arrived in Damascus to begin setting up the headquarters of their operation. The delegation arrived as the shaky ceasefire between loyalist troops of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and Syrian opposition fighters has continued to erode. There have been continual reports of military shelling in residential neighborhoods, and both sides have accused the other of violating the truce.
In other news, tourism in Israel has reached an all-time high. According to the Central Bureau of Statistics, 752,000 tourists entered Israel in the first 3 months of 2012. There was also a large spike in one-day tours of Israel, mostly from across the Egyptian border. The majority of tourists to Israel are Christians.
Just days ahead of Israel's observance of Holocaust Remembrance Day, the military held a special ceremony at Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Museum. Surrounded by photographs of Jewish victims of the Nazi genocide, IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Benny Gantz addressed those under his command, saying that the Israeli army must defend the nation's borders and all of the communities within, but must also remain attuned to anywhere that Jews are harmed simply because of their heritage. Referring to several recent attacks against Jews abroad, Gantz said that if a Jew is beaten on his way out of a synagogue in Kiev, or if Jewish children in Toulouse are murdered in cold blood, if in India, Thailand, and Georgia hostile elements try to harm Israeli and Jewish targets, the State of Israel must stand firmer than ever. The Israeli Ministry of Agriculture has announced the setting up of an Israeli dairy farm in South Vietnam, where milk is in high demand. The goal of the facility is to assist in producing a greater quantity of dairy products to meet the needs of the Vietnamese public. The farm in Ho Chi Minh City will utilize Israeli equipment and technology and will also serve as a teaching center where Israeli experts can train their Vietnamese counterparts in a variety of methods. Israeli Minister of Agriculture Orit Noked said that the project demonstrates Israel's reputation in agriculture precedes itself and represents the widening agricultural ties between the two nations.
Last week, Moshe Bar Tzvi, founder and producer of Israel Now News, traveled to South Korea to meet with Dr. David Yonggi Cho. Dr. Cho is the former senior pastor and founder of Yoido Church, the full gospel church in South Korea, which is the largest evangelical Christian congregation in the world. The two met to discuss the importance of the truth coming out of Israel and how the education of the Christian world can be one of the most important tools in diplomacy for the State of Israel. They also discussed the possibility of making a Korean version of Israel Now News and other initiatives to bring South Korean Christians closer to Israel.
We are believing in Jesus Christ, and that separates us. We should not have enmity because of those kind of things toward each other. We should have one unified point, Jesus Christ, who was born as a Jew. We take Israel as our home, spiritual home. And we love Israel, past, present, and future. We want Israel to prosper, strong, and powerful, and the leading country in the world.
And that concludes the news portion of our show. Please stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. Our guest today is Francie Shao, International Director of Melody of My Heart Ministries. Francie, thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Francie, tell us a little about what is Melody of My Heart Ministries?
Sure. Melody of My Heart Ministry is a Chinese music ministry. We write songs and then we produce them and to minister to the worldwide Chinese communities.
We see that there's a huge revival of Christianity in China today. What is their viewpoint on Israel?
Okay, well, you know, for the Chinese, Israel is still very new to them. But they study Bible, they know about Israel, and more in the past 2-3 years, God's Spirit has been moving in China, and people want to come to Israel. People want to learn more about Israel. They wanted to stand with Israel, but they don't know how. So this is a very good news.
Yes, we hear that there's 100 million Bible-believing Christians in China, 30 million in the above-ground church, 70 million in the underground church. What's the difference between the above-ground church and the underground church?
The difference? Well, the above-ground church is the, we call it Three Self Church, that is under the leadership of the government of China. And the underground church are the believers, grassroots believers, that they are scattered all over, and then they gather in their homes, in their business to study Bible and worship God.
Are Chinese Christians today coming to Israel? Are they coming as tourists? Are they being a part of the prophecy of Israel?
Definitely, for sure. They are just coming by tens of thousands, and you know, there are like hundreds of millions of Christians in China, and just imagine 300 a day. It will take 800 years to come to Israel, but they're all squeezing in, so we got to pray for that to come true.
What do you think will be in the future here in Israel? In 10 years from now, do you think there'll be more and more Chinese pilgrims coming to Israel?
Of course, definitely. We pray that that day will come sooner, and that Chinese will come and stand with Israel more and more.
Francie, your ministry, Melody of My Heart, is operating all over the world. Where are you active now? Where are the Asian communities coming in support of Israel other than China?
Well, it's many places in Asia for sure. Hong Kong, Taiwan, also United States, and wherever there are Chinese that are listening to our music and they know that we love Israel, they want to know more about it, so they come by that sources.
Francie, why did you choose music as a way to reach people about Israel?
Well, you know, we didn't start it like that. We started as a ministry that share the good news of the Lord to the Chinese people. But as I wanted to touch God's heart, God just drew me to Israel 7 years ago. And I came here, I finally realized that Israel is the melody of His heart. So I have to write things about Israel in the music. And then people listen to it, so they started to want to know what we know. So that's what everything started rolling.
You know, Francie, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our audience?
Okay, dear friends in the Lord, first, bless Abraham shall be blessed. So come and know God's heart for Israel. If you love the Lord, you cannot miss loving Israel. So come and be part of the prophecy fulfilling in the Bible. Second, pray for Israel. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, because this is the heart of the Lord. So when you pray for the peace of Jerusalem, your heart will be stirred up to want to love the Lord, want to love Israel more. And thirdly, come visit this land of prophecy, and visit these people here. Connect with them. You will find that your heart will be so rooted in the Bible, in the word of the Lord, and everything comes more alive, three-dimensional to you. And fourthly, support Israel with your financial support, and just do whatever you can to make this land a land of the Lord. Because in the Bible it says, one day all the nations will come back to Israel and go up to Zion, for here the law and the words of the Lord shall go out. And so come and bless Israel, you shall be blessed.
Francie, thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, Shining Light from Israel.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come visit Capernaum, where Jesus restored a paralytic's helpless legs. Sail the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus walked on the water. Stroll through the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus healed a servant's ear. To learn more about standing where it all happened, in Israel, visit www.goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
יחידת שראל מופקדת על תחום ההתנדבות בצה"ל, יחידה שקולטת בתוכה מגוון אפשרויות של התנדבות וכ-4,000 מתנדבים בשנה מכל מדינות העולם כמעט, קרוב ל-41 מדינות.
I'm doing it because I want to get a glimpse of what it's really like to be in the army because I might do the army soon.
We feel like we've got more to offer other people here, not only going on a holiday to have a good time on our own.
The rest of the world idolizes Israeli soldiers, so now we'll get to actually be there. Diana? Again. All right, let's go. Okay. I feel cool.
You feel cool? You feel like a soldier?
Not yet.
It's nice. It's very nice.
It seems like everyone's having fun. I'm really not sure what's expected. I don't know what we're really doing, but now I'm getting kind of scared.
יחידת שראל הוקמה בשנת 83, אחרי מלחמת שלום הגליל, היה צורך בידיים עובדות. תת-אלוף אהרון דוידי וצוות של הצנחנים יצא לארצות הברית, הגיעו כ-900 מתנדבים, ומאז ואילך הכמויות רק הולכות ועולות.
This is hummus. Hummus is very good.
יש לנו גם מדברים שהם בכלל לא יהודיים, אז זה בכלל כאילו לפעמים קשה ממש לתפוס את זה. אנשים לא מבינים איך בן אדם לא יהודי בא ומתגייס לעזור לצבא.
I'm not Jewish, but I strongly support the Israeli nation, and I didn't want to be just a tourist here. I wanted to, do some work that made a difference. So it helps a little. This is what we've been doing the last 2 weeks: is unloading kit bags from armored personnel carriers. Pretty heavy, but it's good work. Keeps you warm.
I've been doing Sarel for 15 years, usually 3 to 5 months each year. One of the jobs I liked was when the Tzanchanim, the paratroopers, would go for jumps. They would jump from the sky, and when they landed, I'd take their parachutes, take them off, and put them in trucks.
נתן זה דבר מדהים. בן אדם שמגיע לפה 3 פעמים בשנה, שומע שיש זרקו אבן על חייל, הבן אדם נחמץ ליבו, ורק מלשמוע שחייל נפגע. מרים את הטלפון, אני בדרך, צריכים אותי, אני בדרך.
Every year when I'm coming here, people always say, "Oh, you better not go, it's dangerous." Why, you crazy? I said, I'm not crazy, and it's not so dangerous. And the truth is, I feel safer in Israel than I do in Canada.
זאת ציונות. הבן אדם פשוט אוהב אותנו מבפנים.
Take a look.
It's amazing to be this close to a piece of history like this. This is sort of like the iconic monument of the Israeli nation. It's, incredibly important to them, and to see it up close, it's very moving, even though I'm not Jewish.
I wrote God a note, and on one side I put what I was thankful for, and then on the other side I wrote what I wished for and what I would do in return.
To come here helps understand, I think, the Jewish faith better. People fought and died for this. Jewish people all over the world come here and see this. It's amazing. It's very moving.
Since the Kotel has always been the place where all Jews go to pray, I think that when I'm there, it connects me to like all the people that have gone before.
It's amazing. I love this country.
ישנם אחוז ניכר של מתנדבים שבסופו של דבר עושים בישראל כקבע או מקום קבע להשתכן בו במדינת ישראל.
That just makes us not take this for granted or realize that as Jews, like as a whole, that we're the lucky generation.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come explore Jerusalem, where Jesus opened blind eyes. Visit the hills of Galilee, where Jesus fed the multitude. Stroll through Capernaum, where Jesus lived and taught and healed. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit www.goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
A few days after the war broke out, the Germans were in already. And they came to the backyard where I used to live, and with the boots, and we got scared already. It was a deadline till 9 o'clock at evening. The Jews were allowed to go out. After 9, who will go out will be shot. My name is Leokadia Szlak. I am 87 years old. I was born in Poland, in Częstochowa. In 1939, when the war broke out, I lived still with my parents. 1942, I was sent to Auschwitz-Birkenau. First, they took my mother. There was a stadion through all the Jews on the stadion in the select. The weakest go left, the stronger or right. And my mother was the first that they took her, and I don't know till today where she ended up. And when I was in Birkenau already, I was told that they took my father and my sister. She was older than me. She went voluntarily. And my brother, I was told in Birkenau from men's, the men's were separated from the women's. So the men told me, a gentleman told me that my brother was in Gross Rosen, was also a concentration camp. And I don't know till today. I have no grave, no nothing.
Once a year, in the warm spring sunshine, life in Israel comes to a complete stop. For 1 minute, Israelis around the country stop to remember the tragic death of over 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. Yom HaShoah is Israel's national day for Holocaust remembrance.
And when the war Finney, when I was liberated in Dachau, the 28th of April 1945, I was staying like a skeleton without family, without nobody. I didn't have a place where to go. When I was liberated, I didn't think, where is my parents? Where are my siblings? I said, I want to eat. I was hungry. And this is today, you know, I can forgive myself that I didn't have in my mind, my parents, only food. And this is a very tragic. This is a tragedy. When I was in Montreal, I paid 4,000 Canadian dollars to be transferred to Israel in case I die, because I don't want to be buried in Canada. Because of my children, they are not millionaires, they were hardworking people, and I couldn't live to them to come every year to visit my grave, because it's 15 hours flight. So, and secondly, my heart lies here, because I was suffering for 63 months in concentration camps that we have a country today. And the sentiments, you know, you can take away the sentiments. 6 million Jews perished, yeah, but we have a country today. And you know, sir, if we forget to speak from our past, we are doomed to repeat it.
Today, there are still thousands of Holocaust survivors who are in a sense forgotten and living below the poverty line in Israel. Help us to support these precious survivors while we still can.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan Elrom.
And I'm Erin Viner. Please join us again next week for all your Israel updates.